This fight went completely under my radar. I didn't do a prediction for the fight, no videos. I wasn't interested in the fight even. Because after the Vasquez unification clash fell through and Ricky Burns signed to his new promoter, I just assumed that he would be taking some obscure, hopeless nobody at short notice just for a stay busy fight. But I signed into Facebook and I seen some people saying that Ricky Burns was having a hard time and it was losing his fight. So I tuned into the fight and I saw this Jose Gonzalez guy giving Ricky Burns a boxing lesson. Now Gonzalez is a Puerto Rican, switch hitter, slick fighter, extremely long arms. He was a couple inches shorter than Ricky Burns, extremely long arms. Actually has a longer reach than Floyd Mayweather, which is pretty damn incredible. I think he's around the same type of height as Floyd, about 5'8", but he has an even longer reach. One of the things that makes Floyd able to dominate the way he does in his fights is his long reach. Floyd has only fought one guy in his entire career that had a longer reach than himself, and that was Oscar De La Hoya. Right? That's one of the things that that's one of the great advantages that Floyd Mayweather has over most of his opponents, is that reach advantage. Even against taller opponents, like when he fought Diego Corrales, even though Corrales was taller, Floyd actually had the longer arms, so he was able to, dictate the fight from long range. And it was similar here with Jose Gonzalez, tremendously long arms. Ricky Burns couldn't jab with him. Ricky Burns couldn't do nothing at long range with this guy. This guy was doing whatever the hell he wanted at long range, picking Ricky Burns apart. Counter punching, beautiful boxing skills, very slick, switch hitting, good power. It was a clinic basically for the first 7 rounds. Now I tuned in around the 4th or 5th round, but from what I understand, the first 4 or 5 rounds was the same as the 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds, with Gonzalez basically putting on a clinic. So yeah, he was dominating Ricky Burns on the outside. Ricky Burns couldn't read Gonzalez's rhythm at all. He was totally thrown off by his rhythm. Burns a much more, methodical type of fighter, not as rhythmic as someone like Gonzalez. Gonzalez was too slick, his arms are too long, too powerful, too rhythmic. Burns just couldn't handle it. And 7th round came, and Gonzalez was really starting to get on top. He hurt Ricky Burns, and then he went for the finish. But unfortunately, he did a Mike Jones, right? He did a Mike Jones against Soto Carras in the first fight, and he totally punched himself out. All right. Now, Gonzalez is obviously a guy who, at a lower level, he's been used to knocking people out. And when he opens up on an opponent like that, they're supposed to go down. They're supposed to be disheartened. They're supposed to quit. That's what he's used to. And I guess, that's what he must have expected from Ricky Burns. So he went all out for the finish in the 7th round, and he didn't get it. Because at elite level, especially someone like Ricky Burns, who is not that naturally gifted, he's the kind of guy who, because he ain't that naturally gifted, he has to be gifted in terms of determination, fitness, ring smarts and savvy and all these kind of things. He has to be exceptional in that way, right? So at world level, if you're gonna let it all hang out like that in one round, you better make damn sure you get the knockout, right? Because that opponent is gonna come back at you in the next round if you're tired, and that's exactly what happened. Gonzalez didn't get the KO. Ricky Burns came back at him. I think in the 8th, Ricky was trying to put the pressure on, but I think he was still kind of cautious about Gonzalez, because Gonzalez is a very good counterpuncher, very powerful. And, Ricky was still a bit unsure, but his trainers was telling him, Ricky, go for it. Like, he's tired. He's dead tired. We can see in his legs. His legs is finished. And I just thought maybe Gonzalez was taking a round off, but he came out for the 8th and he was even worse. He just seemed to have no legs underneath him at all. He didn't want to engage. He just totally blew himself out. And then 9th round, the same thing. And at the end of the 9th round, incredibly, I mean, Gonzalez, got hit with a few shots here and there, but he never looked on the brink of being knocked out. But he did get hit with a few shots here and there, and he definitely, a huge change from the 8th round onwards in Gonzalez's demeanor, his confidence. Everything was a huge change. So, but as much as there was a change there, I never expected him to quit on his stool at the end of the 9th round. All right, that was a big shock, a big shock. But that's what he did. He quit on his stool at the end of the 9th round, and apparently he said that he had a broken wrist. All right. People break their wrists all the time. This is a world title fight, man. These opportunities don't come along that often, especially when you quit in a fight like that. It's very hard to get a world title shot anytime soon afterwards. All right. So it was shocking, man. He was shocking, and Ricky Burns kind of wins by default because he fought an opponent who had no idea how to pace himself, who I guess was too maybe inexperienced against top level opposition. He had the fight in the bag. Gonzalez had the fight won, but he didn't pace himself at all. He went all out against a guy who's obviously a tough guy in Ricky Burns. And that's what happens, man. That's what happens when you don't pace yourself, when you're not smart in there. Maybe they can get a rematch. Gonzalez really, he did kind of disgrace himself. Like I say, people break their hands all the time and continue on and fight. But remember, Vitaly Klitschko quit with a dislocated shoulder against Chris Bird, and he got all the criticism for it. A couple years later, he came back and redeemed himself against Lennox Lewis. So I'm not gonna say Gonzalez is trash. People can redeem themselves in the boxing ring. You're only as good as your last fight. So let's see what Gonzalez does. He has a lot of talent, and he definitely has the ability to beat Ricky Burns. So we'll see if he can come back. Who knows, man? But it was a bizarre night, and Ricky Burns is probably the most relieved man in the world right now. You know what I mean? That he fought an opponent that didn't really have much heart on the night. Broke his hand. And listen, breaking your wrist or breaking your hand is a tremendously painful thing. Anyone who ain't done it, let me tell you right now, it's extremely painful. Right? I broke my hand once in sparring, and as soon as I caught a guy on the elbow, right? And as soon as the punch landed, I knew my hand was broken. Yeah, that's how bad it was. I knew my hand was broken immediately. The pain was so intense that not only did my hand hurt, but even moving my arm around made my hand hurt. And I was getting a shooting pain, right, going from my hand all the way up my arm. Right? It was extremely painful. But these professional boxers, they're warriors, man. And many of them, if not most of them, will see out a fight with a broken hand. But Gonzalez, hey, I guess he just ain't built like that, at least not yet. So, it was Ricky Burns got out of jail in this fight. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, this is what would have happened. It's a good, if he fought Adrian Broner, it's a good thing that Ricky Burns didn't fight Adrian Broner. Well, Ricky Burns was ducking Adrian Broner for years. And, it's obvious to see why. I always felt Broner would beat Ricky Burns. I always felt he'd beat Ricky Burns myself. You can go do a comment search for Hatman TV, Burns Broner, and you'll see in all my comments, I've always felt Broner would beat Ricky Burns. But I guess, he wasn't in there with Broner. All right, so let's not give Broner credit for, what Gonzalez did in there. But you can see Broner has at least a similar style to Gonzalez. Also quite a nice reach, not quite as long as Gonzalez's reach, but he has a similar type of style, slick, awkward, hard puncher. You know what I mean? And I always felt he would beat Ricky Burns. But yeah, man, let me know how you feel about this fight. Where do you think Ricky Burns should go from here? Do you think there's going to be a rematch? Do you want to see him in with Vasquez next? Richard Abril? Richard Abril is a guy who I think may be the best lightweight out there. Right? Very impressed with his last fight against Sharif Bogaré. And rough fight for him, but I was impressed. He toughed it out, and in the end, his superior boxing skills, won the day. So yeah, man, where do you think Ricky Burns goes from here? Where do you think Gonzalez goes from here? Leave your comments in the comment section below. This is Hatman. I'm out.